Hi, DXC team. I am glad to present to you today a little movie about my journey to every national park in the US. But before that, let me introduce myself. I have grew up in Bulgaria, where I went to school and I studied geography and biology. This is exactly where I met one of your coworkers, and later on in my journey, I met another one of your coworkers. So I feel a little related to you. Thank you for sharing your time, and I hope you get inspired and you get to find out what your passion is or what your journey and purpose is in life. So let's go traveling. My journey has started 11 years ago when I moved to the US. My first national park was Everglades in southern Florida, which is essentially one of the biggest wetlands on the planet. I was so inspired that the next vacation was in Colorado. I was seeking more. I was seeking what else is out there. What else can I find to amaze me so much? And that was my second national park. I went to massive canyons and then to one of the biggest dunes on the continent, where the native species can live in peace and coexist. Another year has passed and I have returned to Colorado again for my birthday. I always try to travel on my birthday. And this time I found a frozen lake on top of the Rocky Mountains National Park. And I couldn't resist but go to another spectacular place that is only possible to be explored properly by a helicopter. So I hopped on a helicopter to see the biggest canyon in the world. The Grand Canyon. Can you believe that this little river has carved this enormous canyon? I've always dreamt of going to Hawaii. And here I was in Volcano National Park exploring this bizarre landscape. As you go on the edge of it, it just bedazzled me how beautiful this area is. And since I knew about the helicopters already, I'm like, I gotta go and see that place from the top, from above. That is a spectacular way to actually explore a place and gain a perspective on it. So as we flew over, a massive storm came over and we got grounded and postponed to the next day. And thanks God, because the next day the weather was absolutely wonderful. And now we're flying on the very spot that the lava has flown into the ocean. That continually creates new land in green. So the island actually expands every second. This is the most active volcano on Earth. It has erupted continuously since 1983. And now we're gonna fly over the crater of it. Hale Mau Mau of the volcano Kilauea on the big island of Hawaii. That was a wonderful way to begin my journey and to actually peek into my curiosity and amplify all the emotions and expectations that I had. I love the Hawaiian Islands. Alright, let's talk about the national parks in general. There are 63 national parks currently in the US with a special status. The first one of which was Yellowstone, created in 1872. And not just the first one in the States, but the first one in the world. So that has started a massive movement around the world. Today, we have this amazing system protecting the natural habitats, not only that, but the whole ecosystems. And the parks vary. Some of them are close to massive cities like Indiana dunes next to Chicago, outside of Tucson or Miami, or Los Angeles. Others are protecting vast deserts and high mountains and coral reefs and like whole islands. So they really vary, and they're all spread through this enormous territory. The territory of the states is as big as the natural territory of Europe. So imagine one country as big as a whole continent, and it varies from the Arctic down to the tropical reefs of the Caribbean or the South Pacific, the territories of the U.S. So it's very different, and each of them it has its uniqueness in a sense. Here on this map, you can see my journey actually that it took me 9 years because I had to go and work actually. I have never made any money from this adventure. I would always work for a few months and then go back and tackle the next one. So in the different colors here, you can see how each year I would go on different vacations and try to see as much as possible. Okay, let's go about one of my favorite states of all. That is the biggest state in the country and one of the most remote and wild. The wild Alaska. This state is so big that it contains 17 Bulgarias in its territory. So the places that you get are extremely hard to get to. You need to go on a boat. Most places you can reach only by plane. So I've returned here 3 times just to be able to see all 8 parks. Enormous glaciers that have carved the landscapes for thousands of years. And then I hopped on a plane to go over Denali National Park. This is one of the most popular ones, and definitely for a good reason. It has 17 massive glaciers, and this is the tallest peak in North America, Mount McKinley, also known as Denali. 6,194 meters tall, and we get to actually land pretty close by a plane with a ski on it that allows it to actually land. That was quite remarkable. I would never forget that day. Alaska is so At that time, I was all about the record. So that led me to the end, the most northern settlement in the United States. It's Point Barrow, or the little village Barrow, where the Native Americans live in unison with nature for thousands of years in the tundra. It's absolutely remarkable how somebody can live in a place there's no trees and the winter is 9 months long, and they live amongst polar bears, which I actually went to see. And of course, a friendly local walked up to me and asked me for a pack of cigarettes and a bottle of wine. For a nice tour, and I accepted the offer. So we got to spend 3 or 4 hours together. I had to ask so many questions, but he got a little drunk and he got stuck in the mud. So this mud is something called silt, which is essentially like a glue. It was really hard to get unstuck. He was telling me how dangerous actually is to go in this territory, because the polar bears are apex predators and they essentially have no fear of humans. So they just attack you, and if you don't have a rifle or a group of people or somewhere to hide, you're just lunch for them. And you need a whole special operation to get on the ice. Since you can see this is the frozen ocean, and it's not flat. It has like big chunks of ice, and that's a great hiding for the bears. And since the ice has retrieved, the polar bears actually go to the local dump, which is several miles away from the settlement for obvious reasons, where they fight over the food and the remains of everything. This was the midnight sun. It's pretty weird. The sun here raises in May and the sunrise is around end of August, so it's a very, very long day per se. The rest of it is just, you know, winter. It's a 9-month winter. It's extremely cold and harsh conditions to survive. So I couldn't see bears because I was so tired. I couldn't sleep and I overslept the next day. I woke up at noon and I got to meet some interesting people at my Airbnb. After that, I went just to the local museum to get to learn a little more about this culture and their language, dishes, and customs. So that was a spectacular place to visit once again. I ended up in an amazing place just by myself, led by my love for the unknown. Something known as top of the world or gates of the Arctic. Those essentially are vertebrates of a whale that each year the locals hunt. They go on a boat at the end of this ice and strike the whale. After that, they pull the whale all the way to the coast, chop it up, and each of them gets to eat something. Let's go back to the continuous 48 states. Now we are in the biggest cave in the world, Mammoth Cave in Kentucky. The Arkansas National Park is one of the weirdest ones, and essentially a few bathhouses. Or this one in Missouri that commemorates the Louisiana Purchase. It's a 300 meters tall arc that looks over St. Louis. Now I'm gonna bring you down to Texas and the vast, vast land of the Wild West, to the most western corner of the state, where there are two parks in Texas, the Big Bend and Guadalupe Mountains, which is desert, and they receive a lot of attention there because of the southern border activity. This is the White Sand Dunes in New Mexico. That's a very, very strange place. The entire desert made out of gypsum and quartz. There are lots of ways to have fun. Next, I'm gonna bring you a kilometer down deep into the cave of New Mexico and Texas border. This is absolutely spectacular because you can go walk the natural way and it really gives you perspective. It's a beautiful, beautiful cave. Mysterious and a little scary maybe, because it requires a lot of walking. It has 3.5 kilometers of trails inside, and it's just one of the best caves I've ever seen in my life. Even though in comparison to the Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, which supposedly is the biggest one in the world, still this one was way more impressive because of its many geological features. A few years back, I decided to embark on an epic journey on the west coast of the US, all the way down from the deserts of San Francisco up to Seattle. So I rented a van and I actually got to spend 2 months on the road exploring Death Valley, for example, which is the hottest, the driest, and the lowest spot on the continent, and supposedly the hottest on Earth. Remarkable spots are the salt flats and Death Valley in general. You can see things you can see anywhere else, as well as the biggest trees on Earth, the giant sequoias. They are represented in 2 different national parks, Sequoia and Redwoods. But amongst them is Yosemite, or the tallest waterfall in North America. There are a lot of national parks surrounding San Francisco, the New York of the West. Amazing places with Golden Gate, and this is where the tallest trees on Earth are. There are also volcanoes in California as well. As I drove north, I ended up in this wonderful winter wonderland. the crater lake, that we get to actually walk on 10 foot of snow, or about 3 meters, to get to a volcano that has broke off and filled up with water. And then ended up in Seattle. This is the rainiest part of the country. Definitely has one of the most amazing forests. And how can we explore best? Of course, hop on a biplane and fly over the North Cascades Mountains. Extraordinary views. And if you have gotten a little cold from all that snow, let's go down outside of Miami to Biscayne National Park. Amazing opportunity to see some of the beaches and coral reefs and everything that comes with it. The East Coast might not be as impressive as the West Coast or the Wild West, but it has its charm. The Appalachia are relatively older mountains, and they have a lot of caves and a lot of old growth forests. You can definitely find some solitude, even though the eastern part of the states, it's much more densely populated.
Smoky Mountains
in
National
comparison to
Park
the west.
in November.
And it doesn't matter what season was it. To me, the national parks were a great place to escape and re-establish that connection with nature. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our worlds with our dreams and problems that we forget that we actually belong. We belong here. We're part of this entire thing. And just going back for a weekend even, or just for a day, can bring a sense of balance and a sense of tranquility that nothing else can provide for you. So this is a great way. Just leave your phone at home or in the car and go out for a walk. Just see a good place in the local area where you're at. You don't need to have a lot of money, or you don't need to ask for permission of anybody. You can just go and gaze at the waterfall, or put on a raincoat and walk in the rain. That will keep you sane, that's for sure. This journey has led me to wonderful places. This is in Maine, which is the most northern state in the Northeast, and is entirely donated by the Rockefeller and their friends back in the day. This is how this national park was created. So even they understand the importance of preservation and keeping nature intact, at least in small areas of land.
Good morning from South Dakota.
For me, I've been having a blast. I can't wait to go and explore and see the rest of the parks on that trip. Hopefully they reopen Yellowstone, which just got flooded and big portions of the road are destroyed. It's currently closed. And this place is a result of the battling elements over thousands and thousands of years. The wind, sun, water, and temperature, with their erosion, has formed those beautiful landscapes. You can only visit them in the summer, because in the winter they're covered by 2 meters of snow. So the pastures and the grazed animals are absolutely happy.
All sorts of colors that they had never seen. So here at Wind Cave, like I said, this place is special. Well, the second part that makes this place special is the boxwood.
Something that is very interesting about this part of the country is the spirit that you can feel everywhere. It's an overwhelming feeling of on one side you have the amazing United States that have conquered the wild.
Mayan horse.
It means what?
It means man who dwells in the holy place.
And on the other hand, you have the natives who are really struggling to keep up with the times. But they somehow managed to survive. Like wild horses in the harsh conditions, they're still here.
And this is the first time I got so mesmerized in a long time. Really magical place.
And now we're in Wyoming, in the Grand Tetons, waiting for Yellowstone to reopen so we can go and explore that. I got to spend a few days here and that has changed me as a person. This place is so vast and so pure, so beautiful.
And next, Yellowstone is reopening on Wednesday, so we're gonna see that too. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Oh, great.
Would you like a map and newspaper?
Yes, please.
Hunter, are you seeing this? Yep, are you seeing this? How does it do that?
I've seen many movies about this place. I've read in articles and books, but this is unique. I now understand, I get it, why they have created a national park here when national parks didn't exist at the time. I spent a whole day of exploring the geysers, and you really need a week to be able to see the whole Yellowstone. It's so big and there's so much to see. In a few words, there's bacteria that loves the warm conditions that gives all these vivid colors all around the geysers. And there are over 2,000 glaciers in this 3 square kilometers area. So imagine, it has more glaciers than anywhere else in the world. As the American bison, one of the most amazing animals I've ever seen in my life. How do they survive here in the winter? I don't know, but they are absolutely amazing. Let's talk about the native spirit again and the spirit of that land. We're gonna head to Colorado to the summer residence of the natives that has been abandoned for a long time. And coming from Europe, that is not very impressive to us because it's only 600-700 years old. But seeing the native places gives you perspective. This is the petrified forest. Back in the day, it used to be a tropical forest that ended up turning into crystals.
No. How cool is that? I never thought that would be rain. Yeah, the crystal forest here. Crystals and rocks. Look at this beauty. Oh, there it is.
Right after that, we ended up in a powwow, or Native Americans gathering. They were 4 hours late to their own event, but They came.
And a big round of applause for
Another place that struck my heart was the Saguaro National Park on the Mexican border, down in southern Arizona. It had so many different species of cactuses and yucca and whatnot. Quite bizarre spectacle. And we always find ways to have fun. I think that is very important. Not just to go through life bitter and vengeful, but to find a way to enjoy yourself. I think that is very important. All right. And one of my favorite places in America is Alaska. So I went back. I went to fly over the glaciers in Wrangell St. Elias National Park, which is one of the biggest national parks in the world. For the first time here, I saw black bears on the road after a long search. At the end of the road, this is about 9 hours drive from Anchorage, in the middle of nowhere on the Canadian border.
For balance.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Let's get this. Let me get that ladder position for you a little better. There we go.
You're good. He's an acrobat. He can jump off.
Young, spry.
He's still pretty fire.
I don't inspire.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You do a backflip off with a bow.
Oops, sorry.
You're good.
Make it feel
Let's
good.
go. Get in here.
All right, Park 51, Lake Clark. We're walking in the water. Leaving the boat in the shallow. And we're walking towards where a bunch of people are actually like super close to the bears. Crazy, bunch of bears eating clams right there. Alright, man, this is awesome. No roads, so float plane or a boat. The only way you can get.
I like to have you guys pretty tight to me.
Okay.
Don't spread out at all.
And in moments like that, your heart just stops. We're surrounded by 8 bears. We're like within 20 meters, 30 meters of them, and we're trying to very carefully move around so they don't get startled. Of course, we go during the low tide, so the bears are occupied with fetching clams, so they don't actually care that we're there. I guess a few small groups. It's absolutely mind-blowing to be that close to wild bears, and there's so many of them. They don't usually even like each other. They don't get that close to each other the rest of the time when it's not summer and when there's a lot of food present. And here's what they actually eat.
They go right on the edges of these and pop them. And then like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
God. We gotta be quiet. 9 years of national parks. We get to this point. Bears.
We had only about 2 hours before the tide comes back. So we had to very carefully maneuver around the bears, and we aimed for the beach where a few males were hunting other prey than clams. So the little bears here receive a very valuable lessons of surviving by finding food in the wild, food that does not fight back as the clams or the fish is. The tidal wave came back, so people start leaving the beach by planes or boats or whatever means they came. And so we went to the beach to see those giant males that we heard about.
Many inches to how?
So, like, this is the back pad, right here to here.
Бях готов за
And my journey
кулминацията
led me
в своето
Right.
приключение.
another
And the
remote
lodge.
national park.
And next one, we're taking this guy up.
You guys got any questions?
If I touch something, does that affect the flight?
Cool. Yeah, so just don't push on those.
Yep.
Feel any pressure.
Yeah.
Use it. Same thing with the yoke.
Okay.
That was my first time on a float plane that we were able to land in the water. It was a short flight, but very exciting. It almost didn't happen. It cost about $2,000 for the day to be able to get there. And that is the only way you can reach Katmai National Park, by plane. As soon as we landed, a massive 300-kilo male bear has greeted us at the beach. And as experienced as our guides and pilots are, they know how to be very cautious, especially that close to the bears. It's hard to wrap your head around about the danger. All of your instincts are telling you, like, get away. What are you doing? Why are you here? Like, this is not your home. You gotta go. But yet, we possess courageous and adventurous spirit. We humans are ready to conquer.
The big old buck, that is 50 yards from us. That is the absolute closest we deliberately are to a bear in the Brooks camp. We keep trying to get the bear. That tolerance only goes so far. Eventually it's going to run out. It's going to be a very bad day for one of those visitors. It's going to be a bad day for Brooks camp. It's going to be a really bad day for that bear. Please don't be that person.
As we graduate from bear school, we're free to go and roam on the platforms, where we can be relatively protected from the bears. Some of the subtitles that you see in the maps are part of a movie that I made for the Bulgarian Geographical Festival last year. So I got to show to the students about this part of the journey. The ones of you who speak Bulgarian can go on my YouTube channel and find that movie. It's called Chasing Bears. Преследване на мечки. This is absolutely unique. Within a few square kilometers, I saw about 30 bears. And for those of you who don't know, bears don't get that close to each other. Only when food is present, this is happening. So we have about 6 weeks out of the year that this is actually possible. And humans being that close as well, of course. You can see various tactics and techniques that they employ to fish. Some jump from the rocks, others dive, others pull their fish away from the water to eat it. But this is what they do all day long. For those 6 weeks, they sleep, eat, and repeat. The salmon is here and all bears are back. This is the biggest density of wild bears in the world. Later on, I had to leave the platform to go to the waterfall. And this guy came right across. So I quickly went back. I went back and I waited for the next group so I can join them in the over 2 kilometers cross to get to Brook Falls. This is a National Geographic shot. I get to actually see this for about 30 minutes. There's a special list that you write your name down and you gotta wait undisclosed amount of time because spaces are limited and you only have 30 minutes. But the bears are here all day long and they have live cams, so you can see that online as well. One of the coolest experiences that I had in the parks was to see how bears catch salmon. And of course, since they're that close and they're bears, there's some fights for position. Not all of them are very happy about the others, and they try to be tolerant, but at the end of the day, there's enough food for everyone. The bears gain about twice their body weight within the summer, and there's a huge competition for positions so you can get the best fish. This is the natural world. This is how it works. You gotta be the biggest, meanest, and strongest bear if you want to survive. For the other, well, they can try again later. And years later, I ended up in the South Pacific, in American Samoa, a territory of the US that requires visa and a passport to visit. Very limited, and there was definitely a problem with my visa application. So I got stopped in Hawaii and missed my flight, so I needed to figure that out for another 3 days. But later on, I got to spend some time in the local college and tell them some stories about the parks. We played some haka, and then I ended up cooking a local Thanksgiving meal with my lovely hosts. In a traditional way, we prepared some breadfruit and some meat, as well as I fed some chickens with coconut. Those are the experiences that you gain when you dare to go and follow your dreams, and sometimes blindly go and just travel. I end up with a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner. And of course, you gotta go through all the trials and tribulations of life. You'll be challenged many times, as I was, of what to do or how to overcome. There's not enough time that I can wrap around 9 years of adventure and present it to you. So this is just a part of those experiences. As I grew up, I went to different places. I saw them in a different way. So this has shaped and molded me in a way that it's hard to describe, but it has contributed to the way that I am and the person that I have become. So I'm eternally grateful and extremely thankful for what has happened to me, and I hope that there's more and more to come in this life. The world is so vast that it's really hard to be seen in one lifetime. But thanks to technologies today that allows us to actually travel without being to places. And I hope you got inspired by my journey, and you get to see a little piece of these amazing places. Thank you for your attention, and now we're gonna do Q&A, so you can chime in and maybe ask or text your question, and I'm gonna answer as many as I can. Thank you for your attention.